Hey, what's up, guys? This is David Chase Taylor of 911truther.org. Today is July 8th, 2024. So, based on breaking news and events, it's 100% certain that CIA headquarters, located beneath CERN at Lake Geneva in Switzerland, is going to install Kamala D. Harris as the 47th President of the United States in July of 2024. Obviously, this can only happen if Biden resigns, suffers a medical emergency, is assassinated, dies, possibly under the guise of old age, or the 25th Amendment is invocated, which deems that the president is unfit to hold office. Once Kamala Harris becomes the 47th President of the United States, she will predictably be smeared as the first DEI president. That's diversity, equity, and inclusion. And this is to further delegitimize her presidency, as she was never voted into office. And during the 2020 Democratic primary, she was polling around 15%. So she's extremely unpopular, which is precisely why the CIA will use her to basically do their bidding. So once she is sworn into office in July of 2020, she will become the first ever female and the first ever black female president of the United States, and she will predictably issue executive orders targeting the Second Amendment of the United States, which is the right to keep and bear arms. And this is specifically designed to trigger a second American Civil War. These include, but are not limited to, nationwide gun registration, nationwide gun confiscation, nationwide ban of assault rifles, nationwide ban of certain types of ammunition, and nationwide checkpoints to seize quote-unquote illegal guns. Although only conjecture, the impetus for the impending Kamala Harris issued executive orders will likely be the rash of false flag mass shootings targeting the city of Chicago, Juneteenth celebrations, and/or the Kansas City Chiefs parade. That being said, the CIA will likely stage a horrific mass shooting in July of 2020 to further garner political will for the passage of draconian legislation, possibly via executive order or the U.S. Congress. It's imperative to note that these impending draconian orders by President Harris are specifically designed to trigger an escalating wave of so-called right-wing Trump extremists-led gun protests and/or riot attacks across America. Then, once these riots commence, then the CIA will issue or order their special forces and terrorists to attack these protesters in hopes of sparking a civil war. So we can expect, in the aftermath of these draconian orders, that martial law is declared, the U.S. National Guard is deployed, and the secession of one or more states from the Union will have commenced, possibly Arizona, New Mexico, Florida, or Texas. So in order to properly document on video what is about to transpire in the United States, I'm going to basically go through a mini timeline as quickly as possible to try to give viewers a comprehensive understanding of what is about to transpire in the United States, which will forever alter the United States into a communist country. So starting with the most recent events, I'm going to work my way backwards in time, if you will, to try to outline this. So firstly, exactly when Kamala Harris will become president is obviously not known, but it will most likely happen just prior to the Summer Olympics in Paris, France, which start on July 26th. So basically the CIA plans to use the venue of the Olympics with the whole world watching while they stage the Kamala Harris presidency and subsequent civil war in the United States. In other words, it's the world stage, and they're planning to use it to their advantage. And at the Olympics will be a bunch of obviously NBA athletes, as well as a lot of other athletes that will predictably fall in line supporting the Kamala Harris presidency. In order to foreshadow this, on July 4th, President Biden referred to himself as a black female during a live interview. This was designed to foreshadow that he will be replaced by a black female, aka Kamala Harris. Biden stated, "By the way, I'm proud to be, as I said, the first vice president, first black woman to serve with a black president." 2 days prior, on July 2nd, 2024, the plan to basically place Kamala Harris as the president of the United States, replacing Biden, was disclosed when Rosa Brooks, a Georgetown University law professor who served in both the Clinton and Obama administrations, along with Ted Dintersmith, a high-level Democratic donor, issued what is called the Blitz primary. And so obviously the United States forbids Blitz primaries or prior to the election, which is slated for November 5th. But it states, quote unquote, "We can limp to shameful, avoidable democracy-ending defeat, or Democrats can make this the finest hour." So in order to translate this, basically, the faith in Biden is at an absolute all-time low, and there's no coming back from his failed debate with Trump. So instead of replacing Biden with Gavin Newsom, Michelle Obama, Oprah Winfrey, or some other Democrat, they plan to take the most popular or unpopular Democrat and then place them in to power illegally, and then have them do illegal things once they get into power, specifically to spark a civil war in the United States, which they have been trying to do since 2016, which I'll elaborate on in a second. Back on March 14th of 2024, the Second America Civil War propaganda film entitled Civil War premiered in theaters. And this film, if you take a look at the trailer, it's very ominous about what's going on, how it mirrors the reality of what's going on right now. So this is basically like just before 9/11, they were flying planes into buildings on TV and the World Trade in movies. Prior to the World Trade Center being hit, they're now putting a film entitled Civil War into theaters, and coincidentally in the trailer, as you will see, there's an attack on the president, and so they're going to stage false flag attacks targeting Kamala Harris, targeting federal agencies once Kamala is in power, and then of course they'll blame or scapegoat right-wing MAGA Republicans, Christian fundamentalists, etc. The notion that the Biden administration will give way to the Kamala Harris administration and ban assault weapons in the United States was confirmed back on September 21 of 2023 when President Biden announced the so-called White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention, or WHGVP, which is of course overseen by one Kamala Harris. A few days prior, on September 8th of 2023, New Mexico Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham issued an executive order restricting the right to carry firearms in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Obviously, this is designed to foreshadow and set the precedent for Kamala Harris issuing executive orders banning firearms in the United States. And in order to basically foreshadow this impending ban, President Biden stated back on August 30th of 2022 that, quote unquote, he is determined to ban assault weapons during a speech in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. So in the aftermath of a false flag horrific mass shooting in July of 2020, or recent mass shootings, the U.S. House of Representatives voted to pass H.R. 1808, assault weapons ban of 2022. So this is basically in the Senate right now, and so this will likely be passed shortly thereafter, shortly after Kamala Harris takes office or in the aftermath of a mass shooting attack. So the aforementioned riots that I mentioned were highlighted by Chet Hanks. That's the son of Tom Hanks. He released a song called White Boy Summer. So basically, once a black woman becomes president, then the CIA is going to basically claim that all the white people in America or the gun-owning white males of America are angry, and then they're going to stage attacks and blame them, and this will become the White Boy Summer with a black president, and that will, of course, lead to civil war. The aforementioned H.R. 1808 was introduced by Congressman David N. Silacine of Rhode Island back on March 11th of 2021, and still has not been officially made law. The notion that Kamala Harris is going to become the 47th President of the United States was foreshadowed back on October 8th of 2020 when Donald J. Trump stated in respect to Harris that she's a communist. We're going to have a communist as president. She's going to be president, in my opinion, within a month. A few months prior, on May 11th of 2019, Kamala Harris stated that, quote unquote, I'm going to win the 2020 U.S. presidential election during an interview on CNN. So she's already been obviously briefed on that she's going to become president once they get rid of Biden, which, as I said, is 100% for certain going to happen in July of 2020, or 2024, excuse me. This is imperative to note. This is Joe Biden, Kamala Harris switcheroo, if you will, is being orchestrated by one Barack Hussein Obama behind the scenes. We all know that. And all the mass shootings in the United States, or virtually all of them, have been part of Operation Fast and Furious, which is the CIA's top secret program tasked with staging endless wave of mass shootings in the United States as pretext for the revocation of the Second Amendment designed to trigger a Second American Civil War. This is Barack H. Obama and Eric Holder, the former Attorney General of the United States. And this program, Fast and Furious, was installed by the CIA back on October 31 of 2009, but Barack Obama asserted executive privilege when questioned about this in June 20th of 2012. So he's basically saying, I'm not going to say anything because it would obviously implicate him and Holder. And so exactly what we can expect from Harris in the executive orders is not known, but back on September 13th of 1994, Congress passed the Public Safety and Recreational Firearms Use Protection Act, which was also known as the Federal Assault Weapons Ban. And so something similar in this area is expected. It's probably going to have safety or children or minorities like part of this because they're trying to make it as publicly digestible as possible. And then back on October 22nd of 1968, the Gun Control Act of 1968 was passed and signed into law by Lyndon B. Johnson. So the precedent for bans on weapons has already been set, and so Kamala Harris is the vessel by which they will ban these assault weapons, and it's probably going to be so offensive that it's probably going to include all guns or all rifles or all handguns or something to that effect, where it's just like obviously a reach from that. So anyways, just in closing, it's 100% certain that Kamala Harris will become president of the United States in July of 2024, and then it's predictably going to, once she becomes president, she's basically going to issue multiple executive orders targeting the Second Amendment, which is specifically designed to trigger a second civil war in the United States. Basically what they want to do, the globalists, the deep state, whatever you want to call it, the New World Order, they want to Balkanize the United States. So if you look at the Balkans in Europe or other places where this has happened, basically they did it to China with Taiwan, they're doing it to Russia with Poland, with Georgia, with Ukraine. They start out with a massive piece of land, and then they split a piece off, and then they divide it against each other. And so that's what they want to do with the United States. And like I mentioned earlier, Texas, Florida, Arizona, New Mexico will likely become their own countries, or become independent states, or in league with, in basically seceding from the Union and becoming their own entity, which is obviously designed to weaken the United States and to split up her power. So anyways, as I do in all these videos, if in fact one Kamala D. Harris becomes the 47th President of the United States in July of 2020, I kindly ask that you download this video and share with local, state, and federal law enforcement, military, and intelligence officials, as well as with local, national, and international media outlets. Praying for a peaceful July of 2024 with no civil war. Peace.